So you want to learn how to actually read a body graph. Maybe you watched my previous video. If you haven't, hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Katie. I'm going to be talking about human design today and how to actually read a body graph in terms of the gates and planets. I know this is an area that tends to stump people and you sort of just don't know what to do with it because there's all these numbers and all these symbols and what the heck does it all mean? Today, I'm going to be teaching it to you in a way that's easy to put together. So I'm really excited to share this with you. If you want more human design videos and tips, please make sure to give this video a like and to subscribe to my channel. I really want to spend more time this year creating content for you guys on YouTube because I know how frustrating it can be to find human design information that is easy to understand and accessible and that actually helps you on your human design journey. So if you don't know, in the fall of 2020, I created an online course called HD School. So the past 5 or so months, I've been really busy putting everything into creating a ton of content for my HD School students, but I want to really give back to the community and create more here on YouTube. So let me know in the comments below what you're most looking forward to learning about, because I'm really going to be sharing a lot with you guys this year and I can't wait. Okay, let's dive into the actual meat of this video and talk about the gates and the planets. If you don't know, the gates are the numbers that you'll find on the actual body graph, and you'll also see them in the two columns on either side of the body graph. So they're going to be the same in every chart in terms of what's on the body graph. There's 64 numbers on the actual centers that will be the same in every body graph. What will change is what gates are defined or what gates are colored in or activated, however you want to put it. And on the body graph, you'll notice that you have little lines that are black or red. Some of the new software actually doesn't use those colors, which is kind of frustrating because it's more difficult to explain. But if you use My Body Graph or Genetic Matrix or Jovian, for example, they will all show you the black and red. Most software will. So check that out if you're like, black, red, what is she talking about? The gates are important because they help us to understand sort of our consistent personality traits and our characteristics. And the planets are important because they will help you understand how you're likely to express these gates and how they're likely to show up in your life. And the planets are the symbols that are in the column. So if you're familiar with astrology or the planetary symbols, you'll recognize them. And if you're not, I will have them included in the cheat sheet. Yes, I have a cheat sheet for you. One of my favorite things to do with human design is to use it as a personal development tool, right? It's a map of who we are. And it also includes our high expressions as well as our potential challenges. And when you understand the energies of the gates in the planets, it's kind of like an easy map for you to see of where you need to focus your energy and attention. So I made you a cheat sheet that looks like this, and when you go through it, it'll explain how to use it as well as give you an overview of the planets and all of the 64 gates, okay? It's pages of stuff to help you out. And I have a worksheet in there where you can actually write down the gate information to go along with the planet to help you put it together. I'm not going to go through each of the 64 gates in this video. That would make it really long, but I will include them in the cheat sheet, like I said. So you can go to sortofspiritual.com/cheat sheet and you can download that. I'll also put the link in the description box below to make it really easy for you, but you can access the guide that I created that has a little tidbit of all of the 64 gates. Now, I could talk about each gate for 10, 20 minutes more probably. So the line that I'm giving you for each gate kind of focuses more on the purpose aspect, on the high expression aspect of it. I do have more posts on my Instagram that talk about the challenges with each gate, which is helpful for some of the more challenging planets, which we'll get into to help you have a more sort of rounded understanding of what the gates are. Okay, so let's talk about the planets and what they mean. So the sun, specifically the conscious sun, so this is the one that's going to show up on the black side of your chart or generally in the right-hand column. I had to think about that. But this sun, your conscious sun or your personality sun, it's called, is a really big part of your design. It's often said that your sun is 70% of your design. So you want to understand the gate that's in your sun because it's really what you're here to share with the world. And if you don't feel like you're in that expression of your sun, don't worry. This is where the earth is really important as well. So the earth, which is right below the sun when you're looking in the column, I'm going to go from top to bottom just to make it easy for everybody, but the earth is going to be right below, and it's what you're here to be grounded in. So if you're not really understanding the sun, if you look at your chart and you look at the gate description that I have and you're like, I don't know if I really relate to this, it could be because you're not grounded in what your earth is needing to be grounded in. So I'm going to share some examples from my own life just because I obviously know my own life best. When I first found human design, my conscious sun is in the gate 45, which is often called the gate of the king or the queen, or non-binary ruler supreme, as I like to add, or it's called the ruler or gathering together. And I was like, how is this supposed to be a big part of my design? I don't really get it. Like, sure, I can take charge and I can like lead stuff at work and whatever, but I don't really feel like I'm a leader or that I'm a ruler or anything like that. But one of the things I learned was that the gate 45 is really about sharing resources. And I love sharing resources with my community. It's a big part of my Instagram and on YouTube, what I'm going to be doing here the next year. And the more that I am grounded in the energy of my earth, which I'm going to get to in a minute, the more I'm able to get to the fuller expression of my sun, which is a big part of my purpose. So my earth is the gate 26, which I like to call the gate of integrity. And let me tell you, when I found human design, I was not in integrity, okay? My life was a mess. My marriage was failing. My financial situation was a disaster. I was in a ton of debt, and I had secret debt and credit cards, and it was not a fun time. I really wasn't taking good care of my health or my body, so I had no integrity in my body. I was exhausted, let's say, and I wasn't really doing the things that I said that I wanted to do. I didn't believe in myself. I wasn't taking the action that I wanted to take in life. So I had no integrity. I didn't have integrity with my word, with my finances, with my health, with my relationships. I was lying to people. It was not good. So I wasn't grounded in the energy of integrity. That is for sure. So of course, I'm not gonna have that high expression of my sun because I don't have anything to be grounded in, right? However, the more that I've been able to work on restoring integrity in my life, the more I understand the expression of the gate 45, of being a leader, of sharing resources, of taking care of my community. And it's really been so good because it feels so good to me. It's really in alignment and I love it. So if we keep going down the list, you're going to see the north node and then the south node. And generally you would look at the south node to the north node, but the way it is in the list when you look at the planets is the north node is first. So the north node is really what you're here to move towards, and it's generally the theme in the later part of your life, so after 40, where the south node is what you're here to move away from. It's something you're probably quite comfortable in, and it's what your theme is generally before the age of 40. Now, I often get questions from people that are like, oh, well, my south node is the same as this. So how am I supposed to move away from my south node if it's also in like my sun or my earth or something like that? And listen, you don't need to try to move away from your south node. Sure, you can look at moving towards your north node more, but you don't necessarily need to try. The biggest thing with human design is always to focus on your strategy and authority. And I think it's helpful to understand being grounded in your earth. The next on the list, we have the moon, and the moon is what drives you. Again, if it's not something that you immediately relate to with a gate in any of the planets, don't worry about it. Just focus on what does make sense, focus on living your strategy and authority, and then keep coming back to the planets as you learn more about the gates because things will start to click and make more sense for you. Mercury is often what you're here to communicate or how you're here to communicate or the message that you're here to share. And I like to think of Mercury as a part of your life purpose as well because it's something that you're here to share with the world. Venus is what you value. So generally something that you have in Venus is something that's important to you and something that's a part of your values. For example, I have the gate 27, the gate of caring or nurturing in my Venus, and caring for other people is something that I really do value. You need to be careful with that gate because sometimes you can care for other people at the expense of yourself, which is not ideal. You also want to take care of yourself, but it's good to look at your Venus and to see, is your life aligned with your values? Do you actually spend time or resources building into those values? If something is really important to you, you want to be putting time and energy towards it. Next on the list, we have Mars, which is associated with passion, aggression, desire, and also potential immaturity. So Mars can have a challenge quality to it a little bit. It usually gets sorted out as we get older, especially after the age of 40, but it can be helpful to look because you might have an energy there that's something that sort of trips you up in life, or that you're like, yeah, I can see the immaturity or the aggression or whatever. Or you could also see passion there. So it's helpful to understand how that energy might play out. Below Mars, we have Jupiter, and Jupiter is really your gift or your blessing. It's going to be an expansive part of your design. And again, it's not something that you necessarily have to try to do. It usually is something that will just show up when you're dealing with the rest of your chart. So when you work out the other challenges. So on that tip, let's talk about Saturn, because Saturn is usually one of the biggest challenges in your chart, especially before your first Saturn return, which is usually around the age 29. And you want to work out the challenge that's in your Saturn, because whatever that challenge is, once you've sort of made peace with it or learned the lesson there, then you can really get into the high expression in your Jupiter. Again, I'm going to use myself as an example. I have the gate 10, the gate of self-love, in my Saturn. So that's something that is a big challenge for me. It's a lot better now. I've gone through my Saturn return. It was rough, let me tell you. Maybe I'll make a video on that at some point because it was a wild time in my life. But I had so many lessons around self-love to learn. I really used to hate myself growing up. I didn't see any value. I didn't think I had anything to bring to the world. I was not a happy person, and I was not kind to myself. I was really mean to myself, actually. And I didn't take care of myself well because I didn't love myself, right? And so once I was able to really understand that that was a challenge, and I mean, I knew it was a challenge for a long time, and it took me several years really to work through that. But once I was able to do that, the gifts that I got from my Jupiter, it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. So I have the gate 23, which is the gate of assimilation in my Jupiter, which means that I'm really here to communicate transformational information in a way that's easy to understand and makes sense. And I didn't quite get it at first, but then I started getting all of these messages in my YouTube comments or in my Instagram inbox that was like, oh my goodness, Katie, you're the only one that is able to explain human design in a way that makes sense to me. And I was like, oh, there's my Jupiter in gate 23, right? That's that high expression. That's that gift. It's just something that is really easy for me to do. I don't even think about it. I don't really try to make it easy to understand, but apparently a lot of people find how I teach human design easily understandable. So the next one I'm going to talk about is Chiron. And you might not see Chiron in your chart. Well, hold up. You will not see it in your chart in the body graph part, but it will show up in the columns depending on what software you use. Generally, I like to use Genetic Matrix. I'll leave a link down below if you want. The Pro version is what will have, I believe it's the Pro. I'll leave the details below. The Pro version will allow you to have access to Chiron in your chart. However, if you don't want to pay for the Pro version of Genetic Matrix, I will also leave a link below for you to enter your information, and I will send you your chart that has Chiron in it. However, Chiron won't show in your actual body graph, but it will show on the columns if you have software or if you get me to send you your chart. And Chiron is another one of those challenges. It's called the wounded healer often. So it's an area that we have difficulty with, that we have a wound that we're designed to heal. And it's a big part of our spiritual life purpose or life purpose in general when we're able to make peace with that wound and we're able to heal that and then share that with the world. So the next planet we have is Uranus. There's themes here of instability, revolution, and personally, it's somewhere where you might be a little bit weird or a little bit strange, or you might have kind of difficulty in this area, or you're just a little quirky or unique. So I think it's, again, fun to understand this energy, because if you're like, oh gosh, why am I like this? Why am I strange here? It's just in your design. That's totally okay, and it's part of what makes you unique. It's also an area that you might not really feel grounded in, that might feel a little bit shaky, and that's okay. Focus on the energies in your chart that are higher up, that are your gifts, that are what you're grounded in, that are here to share with the world. And there's always a possibility that you're going to have the same gate in your Uranus as you will in your sun. That's okay. Don't worry about that. Gates can definitely show up in different places. Below that, we have Neptune, and this is an area that is part of your spiritual life purpose, but it's also something that feels a little elusive. They often say that it's veiled. So it's something that might not feel really clear to you. Again, I'm going to share from my own life. I have the gate 58, which is the gate of joy here. And it might be silly to say this, but joy is something that I often feel really strange about. Like, I don't quite get how to express joy or how to communicate it or how to feel it. And that doesn't mean that I don't ever, but I definitely can understand the connection of it being a little bit elusive or veiled. Like, I feel like it's there, but I don't always know how to get there. And I've been working on connecting to that more because, like I said, Neptune's a part of your spiritual life purpose. So I want to understand the expression of joy and the creation of joy and have more of it in my life, because who doesn't want more joy? And then last, we have Pluto. Pluto can also be a big challenge in the chart. It's a planet that's associated with transformation, death, and rebirth. But there's a lot of potential here for truth, for transformation, and for growth. So understanding the planet Pluto and how that gate is going to show up in your chart can be an important one. So that's that for the planets. And I hope you have downloaded your cheat sheet so that you can get the information on the gates and you can plug them into your cheat sheet. And like I mentioned, the gate descriptions on the cheat sheet, I might update this, so you might get a different version of it, so it includes everything. We'll see. But for now, the gate cheat sheet just has sort of the higher expression or the more purpose expression in that cheat sheet. So the planets that I mentioned where you might have challenges with, and to be honest, you could have challenges in every planet. I certainly had a lot of them when I was first starting human design, and I frequently do readings for people where they're like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. I relate more to the challenges of every gate than I do to the high expression. It's not terrible. It just means you have some work to do with alignment, but that's okay. Most of us don't naturally know how to be into alignment or how to be in alignment if we've never really done work on it before. Absolutely, I meet some people that are just naturally aligned, and that's beautiful, but that's why I love human design, because it really does help you to get there. And if you're like, how do I get there, Katie? What do you mean? Follow your strategy and authority, okay? Go check out some of my other YouTube videos if you're not sure. When you're trying to understand the challenges of the planets, come follow me on Instagram at Sort of Spiritual. You'll see a bunch of posts that talk about the challenges of gates, 1 through 9 or whatever. So I'm gonna have a bunch of posts that talk about all the challenges so you can kind of see where you are with things and see where your challenges are really and where you wanna move towards the high expression of the gates, which is the version that's included in the cheat sheet. So tell me down below what gates you have in your conscious sun. Tell me what gate was like your biggest aha moment. Like I said, understanding the challenge that I had of the gate 10, the gate of self-love, and my Saturn really changed my life. So let me know if you had any big aha moments or if there's something that you don't quite get or don't understand down in the comments. I'm excited to hear from you. And if you are interested in learning more about human design, check out my program, HD School. It's a 16-week program that teaches you the human design system so you can use it in your business if you already have a practice like nutrition or coaching or something like that. Or you can start doing human design readings and start a business. Or maybe you're just super curious in human design and you just want to take it for self-interest because you really want to be able to understand it from someone who's able to explain it easily. At least that's what I'm told. In this round, starting in February 2021, I'm going to be including live Q&A calls every month for 4 months. So you really get so much value and you get me by your side as you're going through all of the content. Everything in the content is self-paced. You have access to it forever, so you don't have to get through it in 16 weeks, but you definitely can if you're super eager and really want to get moving with your human design education. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you want more human design. I'm going to be creating tons of content this year to teach you. Let me know down below what you're most excited to learn about next, and I can't wait to hear about your aha moments that you get in your chart when you're going through your gates and your planets in the cheat sheet.